So I've shot a lot of videos about homes in Arizona, what to expect, what they look like, and you might be thinking, now this is your time. This year, you're going to make a home purchase in Arizona, and maybe you're a first-time buyer, but there are so many questions out there that we hear all the time. How do I start? Who do I talk to? What's the first step? It just seems overly complicated. So in this video, I'm going to break it down, cover a few myths, and make sure that you understand steps 1, 2, 3 of how to proceed and buying a home in Arizona. My name is Angela Tauscher. I'm broker owner in Mesa, Arizona, and this is the channel where I share with you the good, the bad, and the ugly about living in Arizona and how it entails with all things real estate. Let's start with myth number 1. I have heard so many people say with absolute certainty that they are positive you have to have 20% down to buy a house. And that is just simply not true. I have so many clients that would not be in homes if that were the case. As a matter of fact, there is a lot of programs out there between FHA that your lender can talk to you about that often have a 3.5% down. There's conventional products with 5% down. There is the VA loan if you're a former military and you qualify, that is 0% down. We even have here in Arizona, we have something called USDA loans that's more for rural areas. Those two are 0% down. So there are a lot of options, and you certainly don't have to do a massive number that feels completely unattainable. And that doesn't even cover first-time homebuyer programs where sometimes, the lender's going to let you know the interest rate might be slightly higher, but some of those programs will take care of your closing costs and or your down payment, just depending on the type of program. So there's lots of options out there. So don't buy into that myth. So let's talk about the next myth, and that is that you must have a credit score of 750, 800, a million bazillion. That's just not the case. You really don't need a credit score that high. As a matter of fact, a lot of lenders look for something closer to 640 or above. Now, if your credit score is slightly below that, don't be discouraged. Literally a quick phone call to most lenders and they will give you a quick 1-2 strategy that I've seen them raise credit scores within a month. It's not as awful as you might think it is. You just need to talk to the right person that directs you towards the right steps. Now, of course, the better your credit score, usually the better interest rate that you'll receive. So I've covered a few myths and we've gotten those out of the way. And so now, what is the next step? Angela, how do I buy a house? Well, once you call me and say, hey, this is the year I'd like to buy a house, then we go ahead and put you with a local lender, someone that you feel good working with. We want to make sure that that lender gathers all your documentation and helps you figure out what is the best loan product for you, unless of course you're cash. And then if you're cash, well, hey, let's get in the car. We're going to go look at houses right now. But this lender, their job is very similar to if you've ever rented. They're gathering documentation from you in a similar manner in that they're asking, they're looking to pull your credit score. They are wanting to see your pay stubs. They might need to see some of your bank account statements. Basically very, very similar to as if you were putting in an application to rent a home, except this time you're putting in an application to get a loan to purchase a home, which is so much better if you qualify for those items for many reasons that I'll talk about at the end of this video. So once you've worked through those items with the lender, they put together for us something called a pre-qualification letter. And what that does is that it's a form they send to me that says, okay, we're ready to go shopping with you to look at houses. It tells us a price range. It tells us which loan product you've used. It tells us how much you have opted to put down on your house or not, depending on the loan program. And with that, we can now confidently go look at houses. Now, in a different video, I'll be going through what costs you should expect as you're going through the home buying process. So you'll want to be sure to subscribe so that as soon as I release that particular video, it pops right back up for you. So once we find the right home for you, then the lender and I as a team, we reach out to the listing agent who can convey to the sellers, hey, listen, we've already done our homework. They've turned in their paperwork. This is a super strong buyer. And that often will assist us in winning your contract. In other words, getting us under contract with that home. Once we are under contract, the lender will often ask you for additional pieces of paperwork throughout the entire entire process, I always recommend, no matter who the lender is, they often have multiple departments working on your file at the same time. You're going to get asked for the same document like 6 times. Just save it on your computer so that it's very easy to just resend it every time you get asked for a duplicate of the same document. And then the lender will keep us agents updated weekly, letting us know the status of your file and how it's progressing. When you're purchasing a home, at least in Arizona, you want to anticipate, with most lenders, it takes about 30 days from the time you go under contract until the time that you close and we can hand you keys. Now, if it's VA, sometimes they'll tell us, hey, we need a little bit longer, maybe 45 days, but those are standard timelines that we generally see, the 30 to 45 days. During that time, all kinds of stuff is happening. We agents on behind the scenes are making sure that the correct paperwork is getting sent back and forth from the sellers to the buyers, and then the title company that's involved. Title is a neutral third-party company that's just following directions and working between the two of us to make sure that all components of the contract are met. And then, of course, we're staying compliant with the lender and getting the information they need as well. Part of that process entails getting inspections. The bank will often want an appraisal, so we handle and take care of that portion of it. There's some more negotiation that might be happening. And then, of course, you'll be ordering your utilities so that they're ready to start when we close. As a matter of fact, here in Arizona, you usually get your keys the day of closing. So we have to close between a Monday and Friday because that's when the county office is open, and that's where we have to do the final recording. Once that deed has been recorded, we get the happy call from title and they say, hey, great news, we have recorded. And then I, as your buyer's agent, can officially go give you keys to your brand new home and you can move right in. And then, of course, with closing on your new home, the way it usually works out is, doesn't matter whatever day of the month that we close, you usually skip the next month's payment and your first mortgage payment isn't due until the following month. So for example, say you closed in February, your first mortgage payment would not be due until April, which is really nice because there are some moving expenses and costs involved with going from one location to the other. And so that gives you a nice little month buffer to help facilitate the cost of taking care of those items. Now be sure to like, subscribe, share. If you are thinking about coming to Arizona, whether it's in the next 9 months or 9 days, I would love to message with you, can give you some inside scoop. We have a resource guide for people coming from out of state that are not familiar with the area. Happy to help in any way possible. Thanks for watching the video.